Can anybody see me? Hello, hello, hello. Does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care? Hello, Kim. Hello, Wheatree. Hello, Sorrenti. Hello, Weigold. Hey, Kelly. Nice to see you, buddy. You can see and hear me. All right. Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce, as my youngest son likes to say. Awesome sauce. How is everybody out there in YouTube land? I hope you're all having a good day. I know I am. Anybody got anything new and exciting they want to chime in about? I'm kind of bummed today, Kim and Kelly. Bobby didn't do a live stream today, man. I'm in doodle withdrawal. I was really helping. I was really hoping to hear about the new catamaran. So, hey, last nice guy, how you doing, buddy? Welcome. Glad you made it to the live feed. So, Kim and Kelly, what was the deal? How come Bobby didn't do a live stream this morning? I would have thought for sure we would have gotten some sort of update on the new Lagoon 440, my favorite sailboat in the world. It was 90 where I live today. I'm going to have to mow my lawn at midnight. Ow, Sorrenti, holy crap. 90, huh? It is 65 degrees here in Alaska. Yeah, I agree. Last nice guy. I was worried about them too. When you don't get your check-in with them, you begin to worry if everybody's okay. Weigold's Benedict found a $500 watch at the beach. Hey, cool, Weigold. Very nice. Man, somebody must have been bummed leaving the beach that day, huh? Lost their watch? I'm amazed at how much stuff people lose at the beaches. I really am. I hear all these stories from all these metal detecting type folks that find all kinds of wild stuff on the beaches. So, yeah, I hope to be able to buy a good underwater metal detector here fairly soon, although not as soon as I was hoping, but that's okay. Hey, T, how you doing? Welcome. Glad you made it. All right, well, I'm going to kind of jump right in. You guys could probably tell by the title of the live stream that we've got some good news to share, and we do. Still have some hurdles to jump through, some obstacles to get over, but it looks like the lady that's been trying to buy my property and I have finally come to terms and have figured out how she can go about doing that. It's going to be... you having a new baby? No. It's going to be problematic. Man, I got all my hair in my face today. It's going to be problematic in that I have to do a little bit of owner finance for her for some of her down payment money so she can put things together. But it looks like it's going to work, though. And actually, in the long run, it might even be better for me because it'll guarantee me some regular income for the first couple of years out while out sailing, although I won't be able to buy nearly as nice of a boat as I was hoping for. So, in fact, I'm going to be having to buy a much less quality boat than what I was hoping for. But I can make that work. So, hey, Declan, buddy, welcome. Guns don't kill rappers, people do. Oh, man, what a hot button guns on boats is, huh? You know, Declan, I will say that I would prefer to have a gun on board with me from a safety and defense standpoint, but foreign governments make it just such a problem to do that. It's just not worth the hassle. And so I won't be carrying a gun with me while out sailing. That said, I will have a spear gun. I am going to bring my bow and arrow, which I am very good with. I can knock the wings off a gnat out to about 50 yards with my bow from years and years and years of bow hunting. So I'm going to take that with me. Going to have my spear gun with me. So I'll have some weaponage. But yeah, no firearms, unfortunately. But it's all good. It's all good. You know, fact is, you look at sites like Noonsite and you read about all the horror stories of things that have happened to cruisers. There's such a small, infinitesimal possibility of something like that happening where you would even need a gun. And I do have to kind of agree with the theory of the people over on Sailing Ruby Rose, in that, if you're going to go sailing and you need to take a gun with you to possibly kill somebody, then maybe you just shouldn't go. So I'm going to go and just not take the gun. So, and I'm a pro-gun guy, man. I mean, I got guns hanging on the walls. I've had guns my whole life. I'm a shooting instructor, a life member of the NRA. I like guns. I'm just not taking them with me, which is a problem because I kind of was hoping to shoot some clay targets as I traveled around the world, different gun clubs and stuff, but gonna let that go. Happy Sunday to you too, Kelly. Glad you're here. Hey, sailing Desiderata. Happy Sunday. Glad to see you too. Hey, Reich. Nice to see you too. What'd you ask about? I did miss that. About doodles. I know you like to watch Sailing Doodles. What happened to their broadcast today? They were out playing on their new catamaran is what they did. They went out sailing and had fun, and that's what Kim is saying, is that they're out sailing. I don't know if they're actually, if they've left Puerto Rico and are heading to the U.S. already, or if they're doing a little bit more sailing there around Puerto Rico. I don't know. In any event, they did not do a live stream today, so we'll have to give them a hard time about that. Hey, Doc. We had a vicious signal cannon. Okay. How is your signal cannon vicious? I don't get that. Hey, Christine. Glad you're here. Welcome. Perfect Desirata, an old poem that kind of defines how I think. Okay. Irie is Irish DSV. I don't get that, Declan. What do you mean DSV ... They're on the way to Georgetown in the Bahamas. Oh, okay. So they left Puerto Rico and are on the way to the Bahamas. Boy, Bobby's really going to like that catamaran in the Bahamas. He'll have access to a lot more water, a lot more places to go with the shallow draft that the Lagoon 440 has over his C&C. Don't like that we can't talk to them. Yeah, well, they'll be someplace soon, I imagine. You sometimes when you're underway, you're underway, So, hey, Sorrenti, I'm doing awesome, dude. I don't know about everybody else, but it seems like everybody else is doing okay. Teresa's jumping in there. Carl, have you picked out a name for your sailboat? No. Well, yes and no. I was kind of leaning towards naming it after a goddess, Inanna. But I don't know if I'm going to do that now. I don't know. We'll play it by ear and see what happens. So, what do you think about hydro generators? Last night's guy, I like hydro generators, but they're only good while you're underway. They're of no value whatsoever while you're in an anchorage, and you're in an anchorage more than you're underway. Even if you're sailing, if I were to leave and go sail around the world with the plans of trying to do that relatively quickly, you still spend more time in anchorages than you do while underway. And so the hydroelectric generators they have for behind boats only generate power while underway. So in that regard, it's a bit of a problem. Now, if you're a wealthy individual where you can afford to stay at marinas all the time, then it would be a good fix, because while you're not at the marina, you're underway, and so therefore you're generating power. And while you're in the marina, you plug in. Me, I'm going to be anchoring out a lot, so I need to be able to generate power away from a dock and while not underway. And so therefore solar is the best choice for what I'll be doing. Ireland and Irish. Ah, okay. Desiree, I see. Okay. I thought you were making some comment about the Irie being, down in Jamaica, man. Everything's Irie, man. Everything's all right. So I look passive, but it was deadly if you were in aim. Passive, but it was deadly if you were in aim. Ah, well, yes. Okay. I'm never in aim. Name it after your dog. Yeah, Miss Lily, maybe. That might be an idea. Sorrenti's doing excellent. Good to hear that, Sorrenti. Weetree, I remember the old song, Desirata. Okay. I've not heard that song, but the poem Desirata is by Marx Ehrman. Huh. When's my final move going to be? Good question, Teresa. The lady is going to go about doing traditional bank financing. It's a land loan, so we should be wrapped up in 60 days, which means my clock is ticking. I've really got to get going now. So I myself am going to have to curtail a lot of my internet time, my YouTube watching, and just focus on getting everything moved off the property here, cleaned up and gone. So I'm going to be a real busy boy for the next 60 days. I'm hoping I can be really busy for like the next 30 days and get most of it done, but we're going to have to see. So the clock is starting to tick now, so we're really going to have to move quickly. Was that you that posted on the Facebook page? Was that me that posted on what Facebook page? I post on my own page, on a Grandpa's Farm page, and I'm on some sailing channels, some sailing pages, and other stuff as well. So I'm not sure which Facebook page you're referring to. YouTube search it. Okay. Lily and Me, that's the name. Maybe. Good luck in this godless area. Yeah, Doc, I kind of agree with you. It is a tough time around the world right now. But you know, it's always a tough time someplace. And always has been. I just think right now we have better communication, so we're more aware of it. So that's awesome. Yes, very cool. Yes, I agree. It's awesome to kind of be getting going. Barry said to leave rough seas behind. She's a very passionate, emotional person. Here's a name for you, Red Tide, close in the dark. Oh, that's not good. No, guys, I got to tell you, having finally gotten to the commitment of selling this property is not without some real scary times. Be honest with you, I'm a little panicked because I'm making myself homeless, basically. Once I sell this property, I no longer have an address. There's no place to send mail to me. Really disrupting my entire life. And so, you know, it's kind of scary. I guess old Grandpa is a bit of a wuss because, you know, I've been talking this talk for so long now. Now I have to walk the walk. And that brings on a whole nother level of issues. So to all those who have gone before me and liquidated their stuff and bought a sailboat and gone sailing, I have a lot more respect for those people now than I had before. Just, I guess I'm stupid and I have to actually go through something before I can recognize it. But kind of scary times seeing all this that's going on. Doodles, it was aimed at the person that said they asked them if they would be streaming today. Oh, I didn't respond to anybody on Doodles about whether they were streaming or not today, so I don't know. Too much technology is a bad thing. Oh, I don't know about that. Application of technology is where the issue always lies. How many books do you think about bringing with you on the boat? Teresa, I've got a bunch of books that I haven't read yet that I've been sort of stockpiling to take with me. But I can't take too many because I'm going to have to buy a much smaller boat than I was hoping for at this point. So I'm going to have to sort through them and scale down a little bit. So no, houseless, never homeless. Well, yeah, it depends on how you define a home. For the time being, once I sell this place and until I buy a boat, I will be houseless and homeless. I'll be living out of my vehicle. So, hey, Austin, how you doing, buddy? HMS Cockchafer and USS Tackle are already taken. As is, what's the boat they just named over in England that was hysterical? Bodie McBoatface, isn't that what they named a boat? Bodie McBoatface. I think one of the Coast Guard ships is named Bodie McBoatface. It's hysterical. It's what happens when you open up to the public to decide what to name a boat. Hey, best ever had. How many watts and solar panels are needed to stay on the hook and have enough power for normal needs? Yeah, that's the $1 million question. Because it's not so many how many watts the panels are, but how many watts your batteries can handle. And I'm going to be burning a lot more power than most people. It depends on the facilities that I have on the boat. Refrigeration, air conditioning, you know, and how much of that I'm trying to power through solar. So a lot of variables. We'll have to play that by ear once we get the boat to be able to make that determination. I don't think there's a point really where you can have too much. I mean, if you look at some of these cruising channels like Rick Moore on Sophisticated Lady,
I think he's got like 750 watts of solar panels generating power for his boat now. Some of them have a lot, some of them have a little. So it all depends on where you're at. Get ebooks and save space. Yes, I do have a lot of ebooks. Oh no, chat's going faster. I'm talking too much here. You can always change them out when you make port. Yes, I can. Yeah, and I do have a lot of books on ebooks. I have a lot of books on my Kindle thing or my iPad. So, which I also have my navigational software and stuff up. So, can you put a wind turbine at the top of the mast? Austin, you can put a wind turbine up. You don't put it at the top of the mast. They're usually mounted on the back deck of the boat. And they're good even while you're in anchorage. They are noisy, however. So I don't know how much I would like that. I've spoken to a lot of people who've had them. They tend not to wear out quickly, and they make a lot of noise, like having a fan running all the time. So Boating McBoatface, they didn't go with it, but they named a sub on the boat after it. Oh, really? I thought that's what they ended up naming the boat, Declan. Huh. Hello, I've seen a few replays for... Oh, well, hey, Marie, welcome. I'm glad you made a live stream. You're very welcome here. Pretty good group of people. All except for Declan. You got to watch out for Declan. But other than that, everybody else is pretty cool. Declan's fine, too. You're going to have a big dinghy to drag behind you for the books. Yeah, probably not. Nope. Not going to have a big dinghy. Not going to be able to buy a really big boat. I'm going to have to be very conservative, actually. Be buying a boat much smaller and older than I had anticipated. In fact, I wanted something with a sugar scoop to make it easier to get the dog off and on. And I'm going to have to work around that at least ways for the time being. So, hey, Miss Teen 71, welcome. Members of my family went boat dependent back in the late 60s. Life isn't as easy as folks think. No, Doc, it's not. Living on a boat is not. Hey, Declan. Yeah, living on a boat is not nearly as easy as you might think. It does have its trials and tribulations, but it's also got its benefits, and its positive things. So it just depends on what you're trying to do. I guess I'm getting that light in there, aren't I? Sorry about this, guys, moving everything around, shaking it. Hey, and I apologize for being back inside again today. Last Sunday I was outside. It was really hard to see the screen. I had trouble seeing what people's comments were. And, of course, today it's raining again. So we've had, I think, 5 sunny days in the last month and a half. So be glad to get out of here. I'm happy you taught others about live streams. Yes, Marie, I am too. It's been interesting and rewarding having done so. And it's been interesting that as I've seen it passed on, somebody showed me how to do it. I showed other people, a few other people. Those people have now showed other people. And we're seeing more and more people in the sailing genre starting to do live streams, which is awesome. In fact, I was kind of bummed. I missed a live stream yesterday morning. Sailing Cleo, Cleo. One of my new favorite channels is a couple on a nice monohull in the Mediterranean, sailing right now in the Greek islands. They did a live stream on their boat, but unfortunately they did it so early that I slept right through it up here in Alaska. They didn't have it set ahead of time or schedule or anything. They didn't announce it. They just did it. And so I missed it because I was asleep. So I told the dirty buggers I got to do it later in the day. And then I put a thing so I can, if you subscribe to somebody, you can click on the little bell next to the subscription and it gives you notices as to when they're going to do stuff. So you should buy Rough Seas. Yeah, probably should, but it's not really the right boat for me. So, and it's in Puerto Rico, but yeah, it's just not the right boat for me. So I probably won't buy the Rough Seas, although that certainly is to be honest with you, I've thought about it. I thought about contacting Bobby about it, and I'm still going to be, 60, 70, 80 days out, and he'll probably have it sold long before then. So it wouldn't be fair to him to wait until till my sale here goes through. So, best ever had. Yeah, well, I just announced it here at this live stream that I sold the farm. So, yes, I would love to have a Lagoon 440, but best ever had. What I was saying to folks earlier is, I'm having to do some owner financing in the sale of the property here. And of course, the owner financing I'm doing is the money that I would receive after we pay off the mortgage and whatever else. So I'm not nearly going to have the money I was hoping to have to buy the boat that I wanted. I was hoping to buy the boat that I wanted and have enough money left over to, cover expenses and stuff and to put some toys on the boat that I want. Now I'm barely going to be able to afford to buy a boat. I won't have money for toys and stuff, but I will have a steady income coming in. So there's that. And at some point, the lady buying my place has to sell her house, is what the problem is. And we don't know how long that's going to take. It could take anywhere up to, a year or so, because she has to build something here first, move here, and then sell her house. So, and if she and I close on this property in September, she's not going to be able to build here until she won't be able to break ground until spring, because you can't build up here in Alaska in the wintertime. So that kind of sets the schedule. So I'm probably going to be a year before she'll be able to pay me off. But in the meantime, I'll get nice payments along the way. And then maybe a year from now, when she pays me off, I'll be able to buy the boat that I really, well, not the boat that I would ideally want, which is an L440, but at least something closer to it. So Marie and I are cousins. Oh, hey, cousin Marie. Cool. Glad to know that. We're all in the family now. That's awesome. Better you follow your dreams than regret it. Well, yeah. Declan, well, and the rest of you, had to think long and hard about what to do here, because I really wanted to hold out and get someone just to buy the property. But this particular lady is giving me full price for my property, and so we have to work out some details. So better to go now and go small than to wait later. So I will not spend another winter in Alaska. I just can't do it. I just can't be stuck in this cabin. I need to get out and plant my ass in some sand and drink a cold beer with my feet in the sea, as the song says, and get going. So, hey, Bumblebee, welcome. Glad to see you here, man. Nice that you made it. I may be in Puerto Rico. CNC made a hell of a good boat. Yeah, Selling, they did make a very good boat. They're a little narrow and deep keeled, but yeah, they're pretty cool. So thanks, Mark. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm glad we finally got it sold. All right, so that's kind of where we're at. I've got the lady now on board. We've hashed out all the final details, and I've got like 60 days to get everything done and get the hell out of here. So going to be exciting times, and then I'll be boat shopping. I'm going to bring you guys along for that. I am looking at boats all over the country. I have to make a quick trip down to Montana to sort through some of our personal belongings there. I have an auctioneer there that's going to take all my stuff in Montana and sell it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that regard. But as soon as I get a week or so down in Montana, then we'll be off boat shopping and looking all over. I'm looking at boats all the way up from the Great Lakes down onto the East Coast to Texas. Probably not the West Coast, because I'd really like to, kind of thinking I might want to spend this coming winter in the Caribbean, the Bahamas and that, and then spend next summer in the Med. So at least that's kind of my thinking, Sarah. Fair play to you, Grandpa. Thanks, Declan. I'm in a similar situation as you, except it's me trying to sell the house so I can get on the water. I'm doing my best to stay out of debt. Yeah, well, best ever. That's exactly what I did. And, it was just me to sell the house. I'm a real estate broker. So, just, if you're not a real estate broker, you're in a hard place, because you don't have access to put the information about your property for sale up in all of the places that they have and the access that they have. I highly recommend working with a real estate broker. It's money well spent, but that's just me. So make sure you bring lots of lotion. Salt water dries out your skin. Yes, of course. Be buying it by the gallon. So stupid to go out and buy these little 8-ounce boxes. We go buy a gallon with a hand pump on it. Lots of cream. Still in the cabin in the woods. Yes, Tracy, but not for much longer. About 60 more days. Hey, PC guy, welcome. Tracy, welcome, by the way. Alaska is cold. Alaska is very cold. I didn't see where Kim said something about it being cold up here. Maybe I missed something. I would not want to be in Alaska in the winter, and I agree. Feet in the sand sounds good. Yes. Yeah, I mean, to give you guys an idea, last winter last winter wasn't bad. Last winter we only had about a week or 10 days or so of minus 30. The winter before that we had 3 solid weeks of minus 30 temperatures. I mean, that's cold, guys. And north of us it got to minus 50, about 100 miles north of us, but where we're at it was minus 30, and it's just cold. I mean, that's just you're afraid to go out and start your. And I drive a diesel truck, so I have to plug it in at night so it stays warm. But you're afraid to put the car in reverse and back up because you think the rubber on your tires is just going to shatter from the cold. And I'm just too old to deal with this cold. I got to get someplace warm. So, Teresa, Rhonda is doing family stuff today. Cheshire Canary. Her mother drove up from Florida to visit her in Ohio, and so they're occupied. So will you be heading to Montana first? Goodbye, Alaska. Yes, Marie, I'll be heading to Montana to get rid of my stuff there, and I'll be done with Alaska. Hope not to ever return up here. So I won't own any property left. So doesn't the South Pole get even colder? I have no idea if the South Pole gets colder, Teresa. I'm not going that far south. I'm going to get in the tropics and stay in the tropics for a decade or so. Melt off some of this fat that I've collected. One good note, don't need to run the freezer then. No, Tracy, all you have to do is put stuff outside and it stays frozen solid. Hey, Johanna, how you doing? And he looks like a cooked lobster when he's in the sun. Oh, I don't look that bad. For those of you that don't know, Johanna Wilson that just joined in here is my first ex-wife. Lovely lady, lives in Ohio. He was clearing land today and it was around 89 degrees. Ooh, hard work. Hard work. Hey, Recycle Cottage and Garden, no problem being late. All's good. Yes, Teresa, she's fine. She's absolutely fine. She's just visiting with her mom and dad are up visiting with her, and she's trying to get all the family time in she can. So, which is sort of funny because she doesn't live that far from Johanna. Johanna lives in Lancaster, and Cheshire Canary, who is Rhonda, actually, Rhonda lives, I don't know, 10 miles or so from there. So they actually live pretty close to each other. Where do you think will be the best area for you to buy a boat? Oh, man, Declan. Good question. Good question. Right now, I wish I was in South Florida because you got all the Caribbean boats coming up, running away from hurricane season. And so there's a lot of boats on the market right now in South Florida. Anywhere down on the coast, Texas, but mostly in the South Florida area, going into the Carolinas. There's a lot of boats coming on the market right now. Come September, I'm probably going to be able to get better deals up on the Great Lakes because those guys will be afraid of winter coming in and they won't want to pay for their dockage and storage or whatever. And so they tend to mark the price down on their boats in the Great Lakes in the wintertime. But if I buy something on the Great Lakes, that means I got to bang down the Erie Canal or the Ontario Canal into the Hudson, down into New York City, and then head south. And it can start getting a little chilly for me because things go well here if they go well. And this lady takes her time about everything. So I think it's going to be September 1st before I get out of Alaska. So then, a week to get down to Montana, a week in Montana. I won't be able to start boat shopping till mid-September. And, Great Lakes in mid-September and October, it's fall. Color change is starting to happen, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to want to run as far south as fast as I can to get as warm as I can. I would like to sail into New York just to see some of that, but, then go on from there. I have seen a couple nice boats for sale, actually, in the Great Lakes. Surprisingly, there's a lot of them for sale in Lake Ontario. Lake Ontario is having some water issues right now. So a lot of boats are coming up for sale in that area. So um, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, Teresa, you take care. Stay safe, darling. Tracy, Florida will be your best bet this time of year. Yeah, this time of year it would be. I don't know about September. September, you're going to have a lot of people down in Florida looking to buy boats to head out for the winter time. So I don't know. You know what? It's going to be when I get there and we get into September. I'll be checking Yacht World and the Craigslist listings and stuff, and be seriously boat shopping. Right now, I'm just looking at stuff to see what kind of stuff's available, what the price ranges are. I'm actually seeing some pretty interesting stuff. I've seen some really cool boats. Um, there's a couple Cal 40s for sale. They're kind of narrow, great boats. Found some Columbias for sale. Again, a very heavy hold, world sailor. Um, since I'm not going to probably have sufficient money to buy a modern boat with a sugar scoop, then I might as well buy one of these real heavy ocean going type boats. But I'm going to cross that bridge when I come to it and see what's available. Right now, there's a couple 35, 36 footers available that do have sugar scoops, although that's kind of a small boat. I was really hoping to get 40, 41. By the same token, on Yacht World, I've seen some really awesome old style boats for sale for more money. And since I'm going to be doing a YouTube channel, I kind of like the idea of buying a boat with some character. I just don't want to buy a boat that's going to take me to the bank all the time trying to fix every little thing that's 100 years old on the boat. So, weighing all the options is what I'm doing right now. So, hey Ishmael, how you doing? I heard Trinidad is good for cheap boats. People sail south and leave the boats there. Yeah, Trinidad, down on the Central America, the Rio Dulce. There's a place there. A lot of people seem to like they get there and they just end up leaving boats. A lot of people go down into La Paz, Mexico, and the Gulf of Mexico and leave boats. There are a couple locations that are classic, typical places where people, get the idea of going buy a boat, going to sail just so far, decide they don't like it, and get out of it, leave the boat wherever it is. My problem is I have a lot of stuff to bring with me. I don't want to have to pay to fly everything to Trinidad or fly everything down to Mexico to be on a boat. I'm going to just buy something here locally and keep things convenient and cheap for myself. Your logistical cost, like, buy a boat in Trinidad. It's just like Bob, Kim and Kelly. Bob's leaving his boat in Puerto Rico. That really limits the market for him on selling his boat. He'd be much better off to bring that boat up into Florida, where there's more people looking to buy boats. The cost, like as Bob's boat's an example. If I were to buy Bob's boat, it's a good deal down in Puerto Rico, but now I have to ship all my stuff to Puerto Rico. And so that cost added to the price of the boat makes it impractical. It would be money well spent for Bob to move his boat up into Florida and expand it and make it available to a much larger market of people. So, again, it's those things that you gotta judge for yourself where it's at. So, yeah, you can find a good deal, Ishmael, down in Trinidad and different people, but your cost of getting there. Now, if you don't have a bunch of stuff, if you're just a guy going sailing and, you're going to just have your clothes or whatever take with you, then by all means, go ahead and do that. But I've got scuba gear, fishing gear, camera gear, freediving gear, snorkeling gear, kitchen galley stuff, shrimp traps, crab traps. I got a bunch of stuff. I've got a Sailrite sewing machine I take with. I've got a bunch of stuff that I have amassed over the years to facilitate me going cruising. Too much stuff I would fill 2 pallets of stuff wrapped up. Oh, maybe even more than that. At least 2 full pallets of stuff I would have to ship. So it just becomes cost prohibitive to do that. If you find one in Texas, okay, PC guy, sounds like a plan. If I buy something in Texas, hey, even if I don't buy something in Texas, I may pass through Texas looking at boats, and if we do, you'll know about it ahead of time. I'll be doing live streams and stuff all along the way. So we'll talk more about it. Sounds like you'll actually be shopping at a good time. Life takes you where you're going. You know, Marie, there is no bad time. There's good. It's a good time someplace. You know, it's like the old song. You know, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. You know, ah, and it's a good time to buy a boat someplace. So just keep a positive attitude. You'll find a place. If you've done your homework and research stuff as much as I've had decades to research this while I've been making my plans and trying to get going. Um, it's just a matter of going someplace to where the boats are available, and being open and flexible to go look at boats different places. Would like to go out on a boat, clear water for a short vacation. Well, Kim, you're in Kansas, and so there's not a whole lot of places to go boating in Kansas. Um, about as close as you can do that is to get on a hay wagon and run through a cornfield, I guess. Um, I'm actually surprised, Kim, that Bobby and Megan don't have you and Kelly out to the boat, especially now that he's got that catamaran. You guys should talk to him about getting out on the boat. But if he can't do it, I'll tell you what, you guys can come out and join me on my boat anytime. So if you ask Bob to deliver rough seas to Pensacola, my bet is he'd deliver it there. Hell, I'd do it for him just for the asking. Yeah, he said in his advertising that he would deliver it within reason to places on the East Coast. Um, but then I still have to go to Puerto Rico and check it out and see if it's what I really want. Have the boat looked at, inspected, and what have you. It's problematic. I want to go to a boat, walk it, look at it, check out, make sure it's got the layout, and there's a feel to it. I don't know if you guys have bought boats before, but you get a feel for on a boat. You get on a boat and you get this kind of connection with one. At least I do. Probably why I like my Cals so much. I've had a Cal 30 and a Cal 31. They just felt comfortable and homey to me, although small, but still. So I'm going to be looking for that boat that just gives me that warm fuzzy feeling. PC guy, a lot of places outside the United States, a lot of places inside the United States don't handle pods. They don't do that. It takes special equipment to be able to pick them up, move them around and stuff. So very limited market for pods. Kim is hitting on you, Grandpa. Yeah, I don't think Kelly would like that, Declan. But yeah, Kim's a sweet lady. Hey, you got to be a wonderful lady to have raised such a wonderful daughter. So yes, landlocked. In Kansas, you are definitely landlocked. Tracy, Louisiana. Yeah, there are, Tracy. There's interesting boats everywhere. I'm finding really cool boats everywhere. In fact, I almost feel like maybe I should just circumnavigate the country, as it were, going around looking at boat after boat after boat after boat. But at some point, I'm going to have to make a decision to buy a boat and get going, because that's why I'm trying to do. The faster I find a boat and get going, the less I'm spending. So because it costs money to go look at boats, the time, materials, fuel, driving back and forth, motels, meals, whatever. I'm going to have a very small budget, so I have to be very careful how much shopping I do as opposed to finding the right boat and just going. So yeah, Kim, I understand that. Yep, it's money. Hey, it costs money. you know Maybe when he's down in Florida, Kim, you guys could just drive down there. From Kansas, that's what, day and a half drive. You could drive, stay overnight someplace, be there next day. Shouldn't be too bad. I know I can drive from Ohio to the Florida Keys in about a day and a quarter, so should be able to do that. Oh, I thought the guys at Pods would ship nationwide. PC guy, they may ship nationwide, but only to other Pods dealers, and they won't ship outside the country. And the cost, even then, the cost of shipping a shipping container is prohibitive. It really is. So I agree with you on the feeling. Yeah, you're going to get on a boat that just feels right. And if a boat feels right, then the responsibility is, okay, is all the ducks lining up? Okay, is the engine okay? Is the hull okay? Is the rigging okay? Then you got to start going around, taking a hammer, knocking on it, check to see what it is. And looking online, I've seen some beautiful boats, but man, I've seen some wrecks too. And just because an ad looks good, I can tell you from past experience, sometimes people will put up pictures of what their boat was new. It don't look like that now. So you got to go around and look at them. Every boat is unique. Even if you have two, I don't know, Beneteau 35s side by side, the boats can be completely different in the way they were cared for and maintained. So you got to get on them and look. Why did you get rid of your pick, Kim? Yes, last night. You got to kick the tires. I looked at a moorings charter website, reasonably priced Beneteaus and Genoes, all about 2010 vintage, stripped down charter boats, but clean. Yeah, Ishmael, and those can be a good deal, actually, only because they've been very well maintained. Generally speaking, though, they've been operated by people that are absolutely clueless. So you end up with a bunch of dents and dings, but you end up with a boat that's had a well-maintained motor. The rigging may have been overly stressed. But generally when they come out of charter, the charter companies are, they're changing oil and doing that kind of stuff, but they're really not doing a lot of stuff. And the reason they're taking them out of charter is because those boats are usually at the point where they need a major overhaul. Engine hours are going to be very high on a charter boat because charters tend to motor more than they sail. So the engine hours are going to be high. So buying one of those and repowering it might be something to think about. So I didn't know I did. Okay. Looking at a 79 S2 and I liked it, but there was just something about it that didn't sit well. The S2s, these are more of a race type boat, not a cruising type boat. So yeah, you got to get on a boat and kind of see what feels good to you. I'm going to get this right this time. I agree with you on the feeling of a boat. Last one was a Bristol 40. Prior was a Hinckley 40. It's about what works for you. Yeah, it really is. And your lifestyle. I've got some considerations that I have to deal with. I scuba dive a lot, so I need a boat that I can get on and off, in and out of the water easy. That's important to me. If I don't buy a boat with a sugar scoop, then I need to put some sort of platform, access platform, swim platform on it. And a lot of the boats that I'm looking at don't have a stern that's conducive to that. So I may have to go with a side mount swim platform. And then, of course, I always have that big fear to me is if I go overboard on a boat with a real high freeboard, the side of the boats are really high, then I may not be able to get back on the boat, and that can be a life-threatening decision. So, again, just going to have to weigh the options and get what I'm going to get. Knowing that whatever I get now doesn't mean I'm married to that for the rest of my life. I can buy whatever I buy now, and hopefully this lady that's buying my farm here sells her house. I get a big lump sum of money come in at one time. I'll buy a new boat and then sell whatever I'm on. I don't mind stepping up and changing boats. That works for me. I just need to get out on a boat right now so I can start creating content. That's what I really want to do. I want to get out and start creating content because the content that I'm going to be doing is very different than what a lot of the other sailing cruising boats are doing. Just make sure it's set up for short-handed sailing. Got to go. Sarah wants to watch Pole Dog. All right, Austin, we'll see you later, buddy. Take care. Pilot house or cockpit? The pilot house boats seem roomy and comfortable in crappy weather. And they are, Ishmael. Pilot houses do offer you some protection. They tend to be heavier. The pilot house does take them to windward a bit more. It catches the wind. So something to consider. And depends on where you're going to be. I think if I was going to be sailing like Seattle and that area, Pacific Northwest, up here in Alaska, I would probably more lean toward a pilot house. Something with a really big enclosure on it. In the tropics, I would like something light and airy. So, something with some light canvas over it, open, so I get lots of air movement through it. But that's me, and other people might have different values with that. It just depends on what's right for you. Not showing your picture anymore, Kim. Probably for the best. Too many guys will try to chat you up. Oh, okay. Kim, he's referring to you have a little person showing up on the chat. If you look at the chat to the left of your name, there's a little circle with a picture, and your picture is not showing up on there. It's just showing up as a person, your icon on the chat. So I think that's what Declan's referring to. I love pole dark and not gay. Okay. I don't know what pole dark is, so I'm at a loss there. That would be me, Grandpa. I go over. I need an easy way back on. Yeah, Kim. Because it's not a matter of if you're going to go over. It's just going to be a matter of when. You're going to fall off the boat, especially because I'm going to be single-handed initially. And right now, having just gone through a nasty divorce, I'm not too trusting of other people at the moment. So I hate to go overboard and have the lady on the boat, whoever she is, just go, oh well, move on. At least I have a new boat for myself now, and leave me there. So I don't really think that's what happened, but yeah, I like the safety of the new boat designs. The Sugar Scoop, you can get yourself around the back and get up back on the boat easily. So just something that's I've had a thought about anyhow. So Murray likes that. Okay. So what else did I have notes to talk about here? One of the questions I had for you guys, and I'd really like to get some feedback from my peeps here, is would a fixed ladder on the back work? Last nice guy, again, it depends on the stern shape and design, but yes, a fixed ladder would be nice. And whatever boat I have would have a fixed ladder on it, whether it's to the back or even to the side. But you need to have something. I would panic sharks and stuff. I'm not worried about sharks. So you're telling me we don't have a chance together, Grandpa? Well, Declan, I assume you're a dude, so no. I'm not gay. Sorry. I'm a fan of center cockpits, but Nick selling Ruby Rose brought up a good point yesterday. Aft cockpit and swim platform makes sense because most people spend more time at anchor than sailing. Yeah, exactly. I agree completely. Yeah, you're going to be in an anchorage more than you're going to be sailing. So having an open stern to your boat is just a good system. But you have to be able to afford a newer boat. This is one of the later designs that came out in the monohulls. If you look at the progression of designs on sailboats, these open sterns with the Sugar Scoops has been a sort of a new development. And of course, now all the effort is going into catamaran design. And so, catamarans are going to be the future of sailing for those that, have the chinks. I don't have the chinks right now. I will at some point, but not right now. Hey, John Hagerman, welcome. Glad you made it here. If you end up buying a boat in the Great Lakes, I'll help you deliver the boats out. Hey, John, that sounds like a plan, man. We may do that. Stay tuned. I will have updates on that. That would be cool. I'd love to have some crew on board just for, it's going to be, floating down the canals, or motoring down the canals. Okay, what input you wanted there? Okay, so let me get back to that. Hey, Patrick, I'm glad you made it here. Okay, hey, Tom Keats, glad to see you too. Bunch of new guys, awesome. So here's the thing. I've been following a lot of the conservation stuff that's been going on. In fact, Bob from Sailing Doodles just did a video where he talked about going out and setting a FAD, a fish aggregating device. And I noticed in the comments to his channel that a lot of people took exception to the fact that they were putting these devices out because it made it sort of unfair and too easy to catch fish, if such a thing existed. And that's what FADs do. They're made to attract fish into an area so that the guys that are out, and not necessarily the commercial guys that are buying, catching fish. Feds are not for the commercial fishermen hauling in tons of fish and taking them to market. Fads are actually set out there for the sport fishermen so they can go out and troll past them and increase their chance of hauling in a fish, trying to improve the tourist experience for those people chartering their boats. So it's just a little bit of misunderstanding. But I noticed a lot of comments on this channel. People were very negative about the fact that they were putting these devices out, making it unfair and yada, yada, yada. And I'm reminded of, I follow a lot of conservation stuff, and I'm reminded of all these people, all these conservationists. You talk about Sylvia Earle, her deepness, who's probably, she just retired from head fisheries at NOAA. You look at all of these scientists out doing stuff, trying to talk about conservation. And man, they all have the same story, You're at fault. It's all this negative and doom and gloom, and the world's going to end because you're putting trash out there and stuff. And I don't know about you guys. I am not a preservationist. I've been a hunter my whole life. I am a conservationist, not a preservationist. Hey, Fish Tropic, welcome. Glad you made it here. Arr, matey, there you go. Little pirate in you, huh? Wouldn't trust Declan. That's funny. So here's the thing. I don't think we should have, like, as an example, Mission Blue, Sylvia Earle, has these hope spots where they're taking areas and they're setting them aside, and you're not allowed to fish in these areas. And I agree with that on a certain scale. You need to have places where fish are preserved, where fish can breed, preferably, nursing grounds or breeding grounds or something, so that we can improve the fish stocks. But I am more of a conservationist than a preservationist. I think we need to have proper management so that we know, and I think we need to have the research in order to have that proper management. We need to know how many fish of what type are swimming around the oceans, what their life cycle is, how many we need to have to keep things protected. You look at what's going on in the United States with hunting. We've started conservation with hunting, stocking programs, limiting how many deer someone can harvest, where they can harvest them, how big a deer. You have all these tools that a manager has to improve the habitat and improve the numbers. And, we have record number of white-tailed deer in America today, more that was available almost to the point of when we landed in this country. So I think we can do the same thing with our fish stocks. We can manage them. We can do the research and the science behind them, find out what they are and what they need, and harvest a few, but with the idea of developing the science to know what we can and can't, where we can and shouldn't, what areas we should preserve, what areas can be fished, and what techniques can be used. These guys going out dragging these trawl nets are just tearing up the ocean floor, destroying all of the habitat. So these fads, these fish aggregating devices that are being set, somewhat make up for the disturbed ground on the bottom where they took a trawl net and went through and just wiped out all the coral, which is basically what they're doing. So I just wanted to get some people's perspective on, do we need to preserve stuff or do we need to conserve stuff? And I'd kind of like to get your feedback on that. So, home of the crabs and lump. Okay, I missed a bunch in the chat while I was talking about that. Let me back up here. People worry too much. Yeah, they do. At least Kim understood the joke. Okay. Declan's something else, man. Of course, I'm from Newfoundland. Hey, Fish Tropic, welcome. Home of the crabs and lobsters. Man, good eats. Good eats. They call those sinks and toilets dumped overboard in the Gulf of Mexico, fads. Yeah, well, they've been sinking a lot of stuff in the oceans everywhere. They're sinking ships and stuff trying to create habitat. Greenies are in people's business too much. Well, I happen to agree with that to some degree, yeah. Yeah, interfering somewhat in what people are doing, but by the same token, I think they're accomplishing some good stuff. Maybe their techniques aren't right, but I think their heart's in the right place and the goal they're trying to achieve is the right one. The thing is, we have land that is reserved for fish, but people are fishing in those limits. And yes, lack of enforcement, fish tropic. Very good point. Absolutely. Deer have become a hazard now. Yes, Tracy, in a lot of areas, deer are there's too many of them. And you know they're over they're hurting their habitat because there's more than the habitat can stand. And so those areas they should go in and do culling and stuff to reduce the herd population. But politics gets involved. Some people like the deer and don't want to see them shot and go out and stop hunters from hunting and stuff. And so, you know, but that's all part of the program that has to be worked out. Makes me mad that we sent most of the fish caught in our waters to Asia, yet the fish many Americans buy comes from other countries. Oh, Beth, yes. Hey, Beth, how you doing? You really touched on something there. It just absolutely boggles my mind how much fuel we waste moving stuff from point A to point B. It really does. Guys, if you're on the East Coast up in Maine, eat Maine lobster, don't eat Caribbean lobster. If you're down in the Caribbean, eat Caribbean lobster, not Maine lobster. It just makes sense. There's no reason to transport something 5,000 miles. It just doesn't make sense. In Canada, there's many conservation officers there for the closet lakes are being overfished because people are keeping and eat or selling them. Yeah, well, I mean, management obviously is a big part of it. So it is human manure. Yes, it is. California is getting overrun with mountain lions because hunting them is now illegal. Yes, very good point. Yep, very good point. What pisses me off is Alabama red snapper fishing. In Alabama, people was 3 days 2017, but those rules don't apply to longliners. Oh man, fish selling Desirati, you really nailed something. We have a real problem just like that up here in Alaska. I live on Montana Creek. I can't go out and fish the king salmon in the creek that literally runs right past my property because the guys out in the ocean are taking tons of king salmon and there's so few of them left to come upstream to breed. It makes no sense to me, but it's a matter of economics for the fishery. So yeah, the rules definitely need to be looked at and reviewed. Here in the Sierra Mountains, lions are a concern only because we have too many people moving here into their habitat. Well, Beth does bring up a good point. You do have people moving into the habitat. Something not likely to happen so much on the ocean. Although I must admit, with the increase in interest in people buying sailboats and going sailing, we are somewhat invading their habitat. Especially guys like me that scuba dive, I'm really going to be invading their habitat because I'm going to get down in their home. Have to be careful. There's a moratorium on stripers in Maryland. After 15 years, they recovered to the point they destroyed the blue crab stocks. Oh, wow. Yep. Okay. So again, Ishmael, it's a management issue. Had they done enough research, they could have seen the numbers and what was happening maybe ahead of time. And you know, this takes money. You got to have the funds available for them to do the research so they know what's going on, which is that much more difficult to do with fishes because, of course, they're underwater and you can't see them. Not like you can, you know, they can fly over. Like up here in Alaska, they fly over in a helicopter and count the moose. And count the wolves. You can't do that in the water. So, although there are organizations such as reef.org doing fish counts on the coral reef, something that I'm participated with before and will do more of, and we'll show that on my channel. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create that data set so that we can have better management of the fisheries. Why can't you keep native fish where you live, but can be bred and shipped to Europe, sunfish, etc., 10,000 euro, and you need a license to own one in Toronto. Yeah, fish tropic, I understand that. Yeah. Do you keep fish tanks? I do not keep fish tanks. I used to keep fish tanks when I was a kid. I do not keep fish tanks anymore. There's no reason for me to have tropical fish here in Alaska. Tropical fish should stay in the tropics. But that's me. If I want to see tropical fish, I'll put on my scuba gear, go to the tropics, go into water, and see them in their natural habitat. I don't agree with the guys that trap all the fish and then haul them all over the country and ship them all over so some guy can have tropical fish in a fish tank. But the other side of that coin is, by having those tropical fish in those fish tanks in non-native areas, more people are exposed to those fish, learn about them, become intrigued by them, become exposed to them, and maybe develop more of a passion. So you're exposing more people to that, and hopefully developing more passion and understanding. There is a balance in there that we have to work towards achieving. So we got an increase in shark sightings and even an attack down here in Southern Cali, all because of the abundance of food for the sharks. Yeah, the abundance of food, and with a lot of pressure on not shark finning, the shark numbers are increasing pretty steadily right now. The thing is, how do you manage a species that can easily evolve into something we've never seen? There isn't enough research being done to create data to resolve. Absolutely, yeah. And it's all the creation of that data. It's all collecting the data is going to be the key to all that science. Absolutely. Before, not a lot of food for sharks, and state passed a law to conserve the resources for the sharks. Yeah, White Gold, I don't know about that. I do know that our shark numbers are growing pretty exponentially right now. In some areas, actually, we need to start maybe harvesting some sharks. But again, we don't know because we don't have the data. We don't have the research. Matter of economics between the haves and the have-nots. They make our rules and we have no say. Corporations make the rules that are best for them, and the politicians follow suit. Well, and that is the problem with our government sailing, Desirata. It's those with the money get to help create the rules. And if you got politicians that are in their pocket, you're going to have rules that are created that are bad. So we as citizens have the responsibility to do what we can to mitigate and negate that stuff. Hashtag save our fish. Hashtag let it snow. I don't want to let it snow. I've had my fill of. I'm done with snow. I don't want to see another snowflake in my lifetime, Fish Tropic. But that's because I live up here in Alaska and have to snow blow every other day to get rid of 3 feet of snow because it snows like crazy up here in Alaska in the wintertime. And not everyone can afford to go to the Fish Wildlife. Hi, home place. And not everyone can afford to go to the Fish Wildlife. What do you mean can afford? No, you can't afford a fishing license? Is that what you mean? If you ask me, there should be more jobs for people that understand nature and resources, period. I agree with that, Fish Tropic. Yep, there's a need for it. Alaska, LOL wowzers. Yeah, if you didn't know that, I am in south central Alaska, and typically we get about 100 inches of snow annually, or thereabouts. So it snows here in October, and starts snowing in October and snows right on through until April. And the snow that we get in October is still here in April because, unlike in lower 48, our temperature just gets cold and stays cold. It goes down and it stays down. It doesn't, we don't get snow and then have it warm up and melt off and then get snow and have it melt off. It doesn't do that here. It snows and just we have snow. So once we get mid-October and we get snow on the ground, we'll have snow on the ground right through till April. Just the way it is. So, keeping aquariums. Oh, you mean about going to Fish and Wildlife, about keeping an aquarium? Okay. Does not have to be expensive to do. No, keeping an aquarium actually is not expensive to do. Unless you're doing a saltwater aquarium, then that becomes a bit more expensive. They're not expensive to do. And I've had tanks, but I don't have them now. But I don't think fundamentally there's anything wrong with it. I do like. Okay. Requirements are key for this. I'm going to bring up a real controversial subject here. Killer whales. Okay. SeaWorld and killer whales is a huge issue. A lot of passion on both sides of the argument, as there should be. But here's my thinking. I think it's wrong to have killer whales in a captive environment. That said, those killer whales have created tons of positive goodwill and have motivated thousands of people to become involved in ocean conservation and have gone on to become oceanographers and conservationists and. They become ambassadors, if you will, certainly not by their choice, but nonetheless, they become ambassadors and they expose a lot of people to. You get to go to SeaWorld and you get to see the shark. You get to see the whale. And the whale comes up and it plays with the lady and does games and jumps and, whatever. And all of a sudden you see that fish as something different than what you had thought it was in the past. Now you have a little bit of knowledge. You realize that they're intelligent. You realize that they're beautiful, and maybe you want to care about them. Maybe you should care about them. Maybe you want to learn more about them. Maybe you want to learn more about their environment. And so people become motivated and people become interested. And so those types of situations, although not ideal, certainly not ideal, do serve a greater good, if you will. So that's kind of my perspective on it. Okay, and I missed some more stuff in the chat, so let me back up here again. Keeping an aquarium does not have to be expensive. Nope. I'm with good grandpa. I'd be happy if I never see snow again. Yes, Kim. Requirements are the key for species you choose for your setting. Yep. Lionfish escaped an aquarium in New Orleans during Katrina. That's one theory, Home Place Journal. There are other theories that lionfish came over in the ballast tanks of commercial ships, much like the razor clams or the clams that came up into the Great Lakes. They can come in on the ballast tanks of commercial ships and been transported that way. So they really don't have a definitive answer on how lionfish got over here. But the spread of species is something that's going to continue because we don't have good management of some systems like water and ballast tanks. You get a ship that's over in Jakarta in the Philippines, and he opens his holds and he fills some tanks on his ship with water, which they use to balance. They use a pump to pump water from one side to another to keep them steady while they're in the ocean in big waves. So they think that may be how those fish got picked up and brought here. When you get snow in the mountains of San Diego, it's usually melted by, yeah, you guys don't have snow. Back to boats, your ideal cruising ground. BVI are nice, but it's like sailing in Grand Central Station. Yeah, Ishmael, there's a lot to be said about that. I love sailing in the BVI, but I also am really looking forward to doing some sailing in the Greek Isles and stuff. And I agree with you. The BVI is getting to be like, Disneyland. It's almost getting too many boats in it. So it's not nearly what it was, but we'll see. Yes, that's a huge issue. Great White's okay. We would not care about them if not for SeaWorld. Well, Marie, you don't care about them for SeaWorld because you don't see them. You're not exposed to them. That's the problem with ocean conservation is it's all under the surface so nobody can see it. One of the jobs that I feel is something that I'm going to be actively involved with as part of my channel is filming a lot of underwater footage so you guys can maybe develop more of a love and appreciation of what's there. First fishes. Yeah, killer whales can make a pretty big splash. Right? You're right about KW. Never thought about it that way. Okay. My apologies, Carl. I didn't mean to get political for a minute. Sometimes when it strikes me, I get my soapbox as a former teacher of economics. I tend to go on to, hey, I didn't know you were a teacher of economics. Awesome. I'm a big fan of economics and the study thereof. I used to be a stockbroker, by the way. Actually, I was a branch manager for a Raymond James subsidiary. So I've got a pretty strong background in economics. Seaworthy is poison. Declan, I don't know what you mean by that. Seaworthy is poison. Zebra mussels. Yes, John, exactly. Zebra mussels, they say those were brought over in a commercial ship. Almost knew about killer whales until SeaWorld. Yeah, unless you live up in the Pacific Northwest or someplace where there were killer whales, you didn't have an opportunity to see them. And they are rather impressive, and they're beautiful. So I understand why SeaWorld chose them as a species to use. They're certainly much prettier and more interesting than some seals or, what have you. The fish that got me, the species that got me, and the reason why I use this position. When I was a kid growing up in New York, the New York Aquarium got in a narwhal. Now, if you don't know what a narwhal is, it's the ocean's version of a unicorn. And yes, they do exist. It's a whale with a big long point sticking out of his head, which they just recently just figured out that they use them much like sailfish. They swing them back and forth and knock out little fish, and then they eat them, much like a sailfish or a swordfish or a marlin would use the spike on their front of their nose. But seeing a narwhal in the aquarium, now it died almost as soon as they got it. It didn't live very long because they just didn't know how to take care of them at that time. They've learned since then. But still, seeing that narwhal left such an impression in me. Hey, 50 years later, 40 years later, I still remember it. So I think some of those times, like SeaWorld, those things can do some really good along with some of the bad. So any cheaper places to go sailing? Oh gosh, Tracy, there's a bunch of cheaper places to go sailing. The Bahamas is a cheap place to go sailing. Can't wait to see your videos, picture your travels. I can't wait either, Kim. I'm really looking forward to it. Reese says, good idea. Excellent. A few orcas in captivity is kind of like how animal testing has saved thousands of lives. Last nice guy, you are correct. Animal testing, albeit reprehensible, still has its benefits. And yes, it has saved thousands of lives. It's a necessary evil. We have to learn somehow. So I remember seeing that. Yep. Mine was a marlin, the blue nose. Ah, okay. A blue marlin, huh? Cool. Yeah, seeing a narwhal for the first time there in the aquarium, in New York Aquarium, was just awe-inspiring to me and has established for me a curiosity and love of the world's oceans. So I really feel a sense of purpose, actually, a real calling, for lack of a better term, to be able to get into the world's oceans and start filming a lot of underwater. My channel, guys, just so you know, I'm going to have a lot of underwater footage. But just like the conversation we're having here, I want to develop people a love and idea to save and protect a lot of these species. At the same time, I'm going to be spearfishing and harvesting lobsters and eating out of the world's oceans as well. So, there's always that dichotomy that you kind of go through in life that, I want to save all these fishes and stuff and help out the ocean as much as I can, but conservation, not preservation. I'd like to, put some stuff on the table as well. Raymond James, then, you'll remember this. When E.F. Hutton speaks, people listen. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Can't have good without evil, otherwise, how would you know what good is? There you go, Tracy. Underwater footage is awesome. Yes, underwater footage can be awesome with the right equipment. I'm really tired of seeing somebody on their first scuba dive with a GoPro going underwater and you see them filming everything. I know there's a fish over here. Oh, there's a fish over there. I am really tired of looking at some of the herky-jerky footage out there. So I'll be glad to get out and shoot some decent footage, hopefully decent footage. Said you enjoy scuba diving. What compressor will you want on board, and will it be electric or gasoline? I won't have enough power to generate an electric compressor, although that would be preferable. So it'll be a gasoline, and it'll be one of the little, if you get on Scuba.com's website, they sell air compressors. There's a little Max Air 35. I forget who makes it. They're about $3,000 or so. I'll have one of those on board, so I can fill my tanks myself, because I want to be able to stay out and dive, not have to keep running back to town every time I do 2 dives. Narwhal point is a tooth. Narwhal point is a tooth, if I remember right. I don't know. I don't know if you could call that a tooth. I mean, it literally sticks straight out of the front of its head. I mean, if you imagine, the fish is long and then the point sticks straight out the front of its head. Whereas I would imagine a tooth would go up and down or something. I don't see them as being a tooth, but it might be. Watch out for existing sea creatures. Yeah, yeah. I'm well versed. Been scuba diving quite a lot, so I think I'll be fine. Hello, Chip. Welcome. Glad you made it. If you trap whales for the money, enjoyment of people that don't know about wildlife, it's just used for entertainment, and those poor mammals are being abused, it's sick. Yeah, I mean, if your only purpose is to create a zoo, yes, but if you're doing some ongoing research and doing some stuff to motivate some people, there can be some advantage to it. Need a sub drone with a camera? Yes, home place, I absolutely do. And if you've got about $15,000 to give me, I will buy one. But the underwater drones, ROVs, they're called, remote operated vehicles, ROV, they're pricey. Hey, Yolanda, ¿qué pasó, amiga? Chip Matilla, Delos puts out some good underwater footage. Yes, they do. Delos does a real good job of filming. One of the better ones, actually, and that it speaks to how successful their channel is. They're good. They're good with cameras. So, although they could do a lot better, I've critiqued some of their stuff. They could do a lot better. So, our existence depends on the ocean survival. Hey, there's no green without blue. Real simple. There's no green without blue. Mic drop. There you go. If I had 15,000, I wouldn't be in this city. Yeah, I hear you. I hear that. Well, and that's the problem. It just depends. Hey, guys, if my channel gets to be as big and as popular as SV Delos, I will buy an ROV to put on the back of the boat. They can afford one. I mean, those guys are making serious bank right now. I mean, they're making like 30,000 a month, maybe more. So, if my channel were to get that big and develop that way, I would have a lot more toys. We could put an ROV on the boat. We could, have better camera gear and stuff, and have the ability of hosting more people on board, which is kind of what I'm leaning towards. Ah, sorry about that. Drinking water, not coffee. Hey, Basics to Living, welcome. Mike, glad you could make it. All right. Well, does anybody have any particular questions? Because the Stanley Cup has started. We've gone past our hour, and I kind of like to watch the game. But if anybody's got any particular questions about what's going on, just, real brief roundup is that farm sold. Looks like I'll be out of here in 60 days. And about 80 days or so, we'll start boat shopping and start being able to generate some real good content for everybody. So, Tracy, no beer. Tracy, that's a good idea, man. You had to say that, huh? I wasn't going to. But now that you bring it up, get in there, dog. Aha! Sorry, it was a little shaky, but I got to move the table to get to the fridge. I do live in a tiny little cabin, guys. Bex. These beers, I got to laugh. These are the big, tall beers from Beck's. Up here in Alaska, I can buy these in 4-packs cheaper than I can buy 12 packs or cases on a per ounce basis for beer. So I'm going that way. So John Hagerman, approximate budget. Budget for what? Budget? What's my sailing budget? Cruising budget? Budget to buy the boat? Which budget are we talking about? I always have good ideas. Yes, you did. That was a good idea. Well, Marie, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Now that I've opened the beer, I was going to talk a little bit more if anybody wants to talk about stuff. Boat. Okay, boat budget. With the boat, there's two budgets that we deal with. There's our cruising budget. Well, actually, for me, there's three different budgets that I deal with. There's my sailing budget, my buying toys to have on the boat budget, and then there's my purchasing the boat budget and the beer budget. Probably not going to be a very big beer budget. The narwhal, an long ivory tusk that extends from the upper left side of its jaw. Really? Huh. Interesting. Okay. Thank you, last nice guy. I appreciate you looking that up. So I guess it is a tooth. It's a tusk, which is a tooth, right? Weren't you going to watch the Stanley Cup and drink a beer? Yes, Yolanda, but I am recording the Stanley Cup on my TV so I can I can rewind and watch it from the beginning. So, but no, real quickly, I want to touch base and answer John Hagerman's question about budget. Serenity, refresh. Okay. Purchase of the boat budget. Okay, purchase of the boat budget. I was planning on spending, 65,000 or so. Now I'm thinking I'm going to have to be able to spend 25, 30, somewhere in there. Depends on how the money finally breaks down. A lot of things are going to affect that, but I'm thinking my budget, I'm going to be looking at buying a boat in that $25,000 to $35,000 range. And then that, of course, the variables with that are, does it have XYZ on it? I need to make sure I've got a good dinghy. I need to make sure I've got a good outboard. It would be nice if it had air conditioning. It would be nice if it had a water maker. There's a lot of variables on the boat that will make a big difference in what price I pay for one. So it just depends. We'll have to see what it's going to be when we get there, because there's just so many variables. It's not like going out and buying a car. Well, even when you buy a car, you have a lot of options you can get on a car. Same thing with a boat, although even more so. Some of the things I would like to have on the boat would be a water maker, a generator, solar power system, refrigeration, of course, hot water, pressurized hot water. I can go minimalistic and go without a lot of those things, or you can go on the other side and get very expensive. So Sailing Emerald Steel talked about cruisers becoming free and then giving up a lot of that freedom to hold the camera everywhere they go. Interesting. Best ever I had, I kind of agree with that, and I don't agree with that. I can tell you there's been some times when I scuba dived, and because I've done this before, guys. I used to have a TV show called Travelers in Paradise that aired on nationwide television. It was about our family on a catamaran sailing around the world. We only ended up doing one season. It was on NBC Sports, which back in the day used to be called Versus. And so, we kind of did this back then. While shooting that show, I can tell you, taking the camera around and filming was a pain in the ass as opposed to being able to just go film. But I look at it as a necessary evil. If I want to go sail around the world, then I have to take the camera. So what I do is I just dive more often. I will do investigative dives where I'm not going to tote the big camera with me. I might have a GoPro or something, but I'm not going to take the big camera with me. If it looks interesting and looks like it's something worthwhile, I'll go back in with the big camera and film what it is. So I don't necessarily agree with Emerald Steel, because I think, you got to give credence to the art, but you got to have a passion for what you're doing. I'm not going to go sail just so I can sit someplace on the beach with my ass in the sand and drink beer. That's not my goal. That's not what I want out of my experience. I want to travel around the world, and the sailboat is a cost-effective way of doing that. To me, the boat becomes more of a tool to enable me to affordably travel around the world and produce good content. I think some of these channels, are they're doing videos just so they can enjoy a lifestyle of hanging out in the British Virgin Islands and and drinking in bars. That's not what I'm trying to do. Depends, you're not that old, are you? But I'm 50. I'll be 59 August 11th in 1 month. Well, 2 months. I'll be 59. So YouTube is having a moment. Yes, YouTube is most definitely having a moment, and that may end. It will certainly evolve, but I don't want to end, but it'll evolve. Plus 20% to refit. Oh, John, on an older boat like I'm looking at, probably more than that to do some refitting. Probably a lot more than that. Yolanda, 22 maybe. I don't know what you mean 22, but okay. Faith Hill singing the anthem. Okay, John. Faith Hill, huh? I was wondering who they were going to do that. It's not just the camera everywhere you go. Cruisers on YouTube give up a lot of time and effort to edit all that footage. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a full-time job. Creating a YouTube channel and producing content is a full-time job. It really is. This isn't, you guys sit back and you watch all this content being put out by people. You have to realize this is a 40-hour-a-week job to create one episode a week. It takes a full hour of editing time for every 1 minute of video that you guys see. So if someone puts out a 20-minute video, which is a normal length video, they've got 20 hours just in editing. Then they had to film it, which may have been a day and a half of filming. So, I mean, it is a lot of work. So, but I think it's just a matter of what your approach is, Some of these guys, like Selling La Vagabond, they admit they, started doing it just on a whim. Some people started doing it just to document for themselves, for their own family, and it's segued into becoming a much bigger thing for them. I am going out straight up and letting you know I'm creating a channel so I can support myself and build my retirement fund. Straight up, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to be honest right from the get-go. I know before I even go sailing, before I buy a boat, I've created my channel already, and now I'm going to be able to create the content that I want. But with that, I have some passion and some goals. My major goal is to try to inspire people, to show people what's going on in the oceans, and hopefully inspire them to give a damn about what's happening. So, if sailing solo, how do you get back on the boat if you fall off? Even with a lifeline, seems hard while underway being dragged. Sailing alone, you fall off, you're dead. Period. Even with a lifeline, I see a lot of these cruisers have very loose lifelines. They've got to work on their systems. They got to test them and find out that it's not that easy. So, yeah, I agree. Last nice guy. The best thing you can do when you're sailing solo is you don't leave the cockpit. If you're going to leave the cockpit, drop your sails, stop the boat, then get out of the cockpit and do what you have to do. So, you didn't get it. I meant you're not old enough. Depends. I'm 6 months older than you. There you go, bud. It can take me up to 8 hours just to edit my content and not including filming. Yeah, Weigold. It's a lot of effort. As you get more experienced with it, you can get through it faster. But what happens is you get more experience, you try a little different technique or something else, and then you can burn up days and days and days trying to figure out something stuff. So getting free and then giving up the freedom to have that job, Beaver. Yeah, if you notice, best I ever had, there's been a lot of sailing channels lately that have been dropping by the wayside. A lot of the channels are folding up, closing up. They're just not doing it anymore. So, my son Vincent's apparently texting me. I don't know why he's texting me. My younger son, I hope everybody's okay. Oh, my granddaughter swimming in a swimming pool. Thank you, Vincent, for sending that to me. Every time I get a text from him, I worry because I don't get very much stuff from him. So, Sail Life does pretty good with his editing and production. Yeah, Sail Life does. But, he's gotten much better with it, and so he's getting faster with it. I had to stop filming just so I could get things done. Can't stop and reset camera every 5 minutes, and the editing, yep, it's a lot of work. It's absolutely a lot of work. I hope you were never forced to be an internet panhandler like a lot of the other sailoring channels have become. Best I ever had. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I do have a Patreon page. And you know, I'm a big believer in that. I support some channels. I am a patron right now of a half dozen channels where I donate to them to support their efforts so they can continue creating the good content that I'm consuming. I don't have a problem with that. Um, and by the same token, when I'm out creating the content that I'll be creating, I hope some people will like what I'm doing sufficiently to want to jump in and chat. Just like here on the live chat, I've had people donate, like Declan last week, you know, kicked in on the live chat and donated some funds. I've had other people do the same thing, Grizz and others. So I don't have a problem with that. I think if you like the art that someone's producing, support it. So I hope that's acceptable to you. So love my new entertainment sailing channel, Sailing Doodle, Sailing Ran, Uma, Grandpa's Go Sailing Variety. Yeah, Marie, it's an interesting and exciting genre, isn't it? A lot of interesting stuff going on. At least you're honest about it. I'm seeing way too many sailing channels now that age looking for an easy life. Way too many now think it's an easy way to live. Yeah, see, Declan, that's the problem. There's a lot of folks that are getting into it now because, you know, they see La Vagabond and they see Delos and they think, oh man, look at all this money to be made. They don't realize how much work is actually involved. And I see a lot of people going out and buying boats that have, you know, you don't go out and buy a 27-foot day sailor and move your wife and kids onto it and try to sail around the world on it. It's just ridiculous. It's just not safe. All for the purpose of, you know, starting a YouTube channel. It's just, you got to do your homework and know what you're doing. And I'm not going to be out on the boat that I want to be on, but I'm going to be on a boat that's going to be safe and reasonable to be out there. So, Marine, yep. Art Lul Bowl. Hi, Any Sailing. Welcome. Glad to see you here, but I don't know what Art Lol means. So nobody makes us contribute. We choose it. Yes, Marie, that's right. That's right. If no, I mean, nobody's forcing you to. You know, I'm not taking your credit card number and running to the bank with it. You know, I don't even know what your credit card number is. If you donate something on chat or whatever here, I have no idea what the number is. They take care of all that. But yeah, I support a number. I support Bobby on Sailing Doodles. I'm a patron of his. I'm a patron of La Vagabond and Delos and I don't know, a bunch of them. I'm a patron for a bunch of them. Rick Moore and the scuba diving people, Drenched, and a few others. You know, and it's not a big deal. You know, $5 here a month, $10 there a month. I'm not going broke doing it, but I like to support creators that are creating content that I enjoy watching. Now, after I sell this property and I'm on a minuscule budget, I'm going to have to cut back on some of that, and I'll talk to my people that I support and explain to them why. But hopefully at that point, I'll be on the other side of that calculation, and maybe people will jump in, and if I'm making good content, will jump in and join my Patreon page. And right now I've got a whole person, one whole person on my Patreon page. I get $1 a month from them, I think. Hey, it's a start. You got to start someplace. Anyhow, guys, unless we've got something else to talk about, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I'm going to enjoy the beer, watch the hockey game, and talk to you guys next Sunday. I'll have more of an update this week coming up. I'm doing nothing but packing stuff up and getting it over to the auction service to get sold, hauling garbage, getting the place cleaned up, and packing, getting rid of stuff. So, exciting week. Rick Moore has been doing this since before YouTube was a thing. He's an old school salt. Yeah, Rick's been doing it around for a long time. Marie, patron for Doodles and Ran, and now, oh, thank you, Marie. Awesome. Marie's number 2, guys. Awesome. My second patron. Awesome. Enjoy, have a good time. Hey, John, I'm glad you were able to drop in. Yeah, we're going to have a good time. We'll continue next. I like the stuff Rick's been doing. Hey, if you guys want to check out some real old school people, check out a channel called Distant Shores. Paul and Cheryl Shard were doing DVDs about sailing before YouTube even existed. Showing my age now. I used to study this stuff and learned about sailing when I was on VHF. Okay, shows you how long I've been studying stuff, been trying to research and learn about this stuff. So it's going to be an exciting, fun game as we move forward. Guys, please jump in and join us when you can. If you're so inclined, jump in on the Patreon if you wish. I'd really appreciate it. And if not, then not. It's all good. We'll see you guys next week. You all take care. Have a real good week and stay safe, my friends. We'll talk to you later. Bye.